Alexey Vishnikov.
And our first speaker is Alexey Veshenkov from...
SOC.
Всем здравствуйте. Что-то пока сидел, подумал, что мы тут как в стендапе. Периодически выходим, что-то на сцену тут шутим, приколы какие-то рассказываем из практики. Вот.
From Solar. And, you know, it looks like we are in a stand-up comedy. So people just go from stage to floor and back again. And there are so many people, and I suspect there are so many people watching us online. I'm overwhelmed. So I'd like to start to thank you all, SOC managers and SOC engineers. I understand that the whole SOCs are represented across the board. And we actually started Trend Intelligence when I started in InfoSec 5 years ago, but it was very different from what it is today. TI is used much better. It has performed well, and people believe in it, and it's good. And it's good that you use the vendors and give us feedback. This really motivates us. So you deserve a round of applause, I can tell you, because you are doing a very important thing to advance and promote TI. Because in 5 years, it has changed beyond recognition. So I'm Alexey Vishnikov. I used to work as a virus analyst. Actually, I was on the blue team always. So I first analyzed, then I managed teams, then I provided product expertise, then I owned products, then I did some of the SOC building, and then I built the attack emulation systems. So I was jack of all trades, and now I am deputy product manager of threat intelligence at Solar. So I represent Solar Forays Research Center. And since we are in a stand-up comedy, I'd like to start with a joke. This is a great quote from Igor Kurchatov. And, well, this is a business track, yes. So this was one of the threads on our corporate chat. If Oppenheimer had a GM plan, he would not achieve anything. But Igor Kurchatov would. I think even he had a plan for GM. Of course, we all have to actually work within the budgets, but I think this quote really works. The quote is, it's important to understand your priorities, because otherwise the non-priority will block your way to the important. I understand that you're all tired. This is why I'm moving around the stage to make life easier for you and easier for our cameraman. And a lot of things actually will not go into the camera. This is the plan of my presentation. So at first, I'll try to actually make you want to fight me and make you want to throw things at me. But of course, this will just signify that we have different points of view. And of course, I would like to talk about the mistakes that people make when they build SOCs. So we are in a business track. In technical tracks, people talk in a different way. And then I will give you very important expert advice from a jack of all trades. Several success stories, and then I will wrap up. That's the plan, at least. So I started with several myths about SOCs. So I look at you, I try to look at the online broadcast, and I think this myth is very pertinent. One of the metrics of the data is the quantity of the data. Who generates the most data, they are the best performer. It is very good that not everyone thinks this way. But there are still a lot of people who think this way. And I talk to customers, I have talked to a lot of you. With someone I would actually talk later, and then I will leave the advertisement on TV. So, do you still boil your clothes? Then we come to you. So, I will come for you. So, a lot of people actually think that the more data you generate, the better you work. But this is actually bad, generating too much data. And it's a very bad motivation for vendors. Vendors actually sometimes they roll out very bad things that generate a lot of data. The second myth is about whether it is useful. Of course, people want to start a pilot, and actually, people want the system to generate alerts. No one wants incidents, right? Maybe one incident, maybe two incidents, but nothing serious, please. But everybody wants a lot of alerts. Everybody wants a flurry of alerts to see actually that the system is actually working. But then they say, and why do you spam us with all those alerts? And just like me moving around the stage, yes? So I can give you two examples of that, just to share some of my impressions. Do you know this check engine lamp in a car? So I can pay some money for having just a button in a car or a lamp in a car, but I don't want to see it light up. And I don't want it to happen frequently, right? I understand that I'm saying things that are painful to companies, but it isn't always good when all these things light up all the time. At the business track for SOCs, you should know who Alexander Rusetsky is. In one of past events, I talked to him, and I talked about sandboxes. And he said, I actually have the experience of using Farai's sandbox. Farai used to be on the Russian market. Those were the times. And so there was their sandbox, and their sandbox is considered okay. And another sandbox alerts and alerts people to very, very bad things. And the first sandbox is silent. Then they put another sandbox, and Farai is absolutely silent. Nothing comes out of it. But if there is an alert coming out from it, that means that everyone needs to pay attention. All these temperature reactions and so on. Everything goes hot and everyone starts running around, because if that thing has worked, that thing has worked. And I've never seen anything like this, actually. But when he talked about that, I saw people actually reacting very positively to this. So I wanted to share this with you. And the second story, not very much clickbait, because actually you will start throwing things at me. So I'd like to throw another thought at you. Because people think that a SOC or feeds is yet another antivirus protection or a firewall between us and web and so on and so forth. And I think they're treating it in the same way. So they're comparing the things, the practices that are absolutely different, and they measure it in the same way. So here we're talking about knowledge, we're not talking about action. On the one hand, I think it does appear similar. On the other hand, you just can't use the product-specific assessment methodology to a thing that is not a product in itself. But very often I can see from customers that they mix this up. That customers assess in the wrong way and measure in the wrong way something that is not assessed and measured in this way, and therefore it appears not to work. So this was the most painful part. I will never, ever bore you again with the same provocation. There will be a more horrible provocation. What mistakes people consistently make? So it is absolutely valuable material, of course, and don't listen to me, just read this and so on. But some of the words will be funny. The first such mistake is people take data, whoever they come from, whatever they come from, so whatever the vendor gives them. So there is the field of criticality, materiality, weight, and the rest just is thrown away. And people try to match it to the SRAM flow events, to match it to IPs, IDs, and so on. It looks good, yes. It doesn't work well. Because you need to categorize the data first. You need to understand which categories, whether it is phishing, whether it is fraud, whether it is unauthorized network access, and so on. So, for example, phishing resources, you need to understand that they're phishing and they don't do anything else. These are different things, you can't just mix them up if you want to really deal with them effectively. And importantly, if you wanted to match this to your events, let's have another condition. Let each this alert be a highly critical incident. So it's not false, right? If we have paid attention to it. If this is your requirement, this requirement resolves a very important issue, actually. You get, thanks to feeds, you get a multitude of 100% genuine incidents. And please, bear with me and keep this thought. I will continue it on the second slide. And then you actually want to diminish the number of those alerts. And in the very beginning, you get a lot of them. A lot of people actually buy things for their SOC, and their blue team is just bursting with the number of alerts they have to process, and I can see those guys every day. And they actually buy yet another thing, and they get another 100 of alerts, and so on. And actually, the company is happy, and they buy more TI, they buy more analysts, they pay more, and so on, and they work more, and so on. Don't create the new alerts. If we have already said that in the previous slide, if you have created highly critical, unfalse alerts, there shouldn't be a lot of them. And then take the alerts, not the raw events, but whoever those events are, antivirus, network access, and so on. Match the data that come with this context and change their priority through this alert. Thanks to TI, you will just raise the priority of genuine alerts, the alerts that you know to be genuine. And when people ask a question and how effectively your SOC works with TI, that actually is more clear about with the TI. I promise you, there are 50 hacker events per day that a large company can catch. But you need to select one event out of 50, 60 that has happened before and actually give it a high priority. That's what TI is for. And this is what I love. I really love this. In the very beginning, there was an example of expectations stimulating vendor to actually do routine and dumb work, not TI. This is a context. This is yet another assessment of feeds.
Документики интересные при взаимодействии, значит,
So,
а там
when you talk to the vendors, they send documents with the number of fields and the list of fields. And, well, I actually think I understand things about this, but I don't understand what this field is about and how I populate it. So there are huge JSONs with a lot of those fields, and fields. And how much context do I need to add?
сколько времени ты реально потратил?
How many books should I have read?
Человек-аналитик в СОКе, пока весь этот
So some analysts in SOC, while they read the text, they will forget the beginning of the text, and they would need to Google a lot of things. They would need to open up the Mitre scorecard and so on and so forth.
Митры, например, про
Just one of the Mitre tactics, injections in the process.
процессы в Винде, и из них только 3 более-менее
So
понятные, привычные.
some customers require 10 different contexts and tactics, and 3 out of 10 you understand. The other 7, no.
Остановим хакера.
And of course, if we describe all that, of course, we will be sure to stop the hackers
А что дальше делать?
very, very quickly and effectively. But
Поняли, что дальше
if you have read the context, and if you understand what to do about this,
с нами будут и остальные, и те, кто
Now,
что-то ожидают. Вот контекст для того,
that is what context is for. Not to get all the knowledge in the world. All the knowledge in the world will not make you more effective against hackers. And now, very important tips and very, very, very important and valuable recommendations when you still have some time to talk, but you don't know what to populate this time with.
какие-то, значит, инновационные еще идеи. И
Just a very innovative idea, I understand, but please bear with me.
еще раз про экономию. Про экономию давайте,
The first thing about economizing resources.
вот как заказчик, да, как клиент, по сути, те, для кого это все.
As the client,
А приходите,
as the customer,
давайте, короче, фит тиайный какой-нибудь,
tell the vendor
который мы в автоблок поставим. И мы еще с вами
that we need a TI, we will put it on the auto block,
запишем, да, подпишем.
and we will put this into our SLA,
По деньгам, возможно, да, еще после
and we'll give you some money for that.
вот, и там, значит, посмотрите. И в целом вот выдвинуть вот такие интересные встречные требования. Это классно. Знаете, как это мотивирует?
A counter requirement, right?
Для того, чтобы сделать
This is a great motivation for people to do good feeds.
продуктовое. Хорошие продукты делают требовательные заказчики, на самом деле. Они как
Good teams don't make good products.
что-то там производят.
Demanding customers make good products.
Надо
Because if you don't have the requirement, it's very hard for people to do good. And I think this is a great example to start the thinking using TIs on Autoblock. A lot of people do this, but not
вот эта часть
many enough.
развития.
And I think that more people need to actually think about how to use the TI in this way.
Также история и про
Another story, very important,
то,
is about the time.
это тупо ноль расходных ресурсов, потому что все работает автоматически.
And
Еще и про
spending zero resources because it works automatically.
данные от одного вендора и поиспользовать
There should be an opportunity to take data from another vendor and use it in another vendor's system, adding to that latter vendor's data.
системой продуктов одного вендора. Это прям вообще клево.
So you want feeds with products from the same vendor. This is my favorite joke. I get all the products from the vendor and feeds from the same vendor.
Ну, фиды берем.
Of course,
История про контекстный
these are two different types of expertise, but we will still go to the same vendor for feeds. Great story. Now, of course, I have already told you very much of what I was about to tell you, and since I praised you in the very beginning, let me try to demand something in return.
делать. И сейчас,
If this is the emerging technology and a lot of people want to do this,
я знаю только
and unfortunately, very few people actually can unroll this. I know only one vendor, and they say that alert detect is good,
обычные индикаторы компрометации, ну, которые
and they cover all the problems that normal compromise indicators don't cover. Yara files and any universal sigma rules and network rules. I mean, it's not been invented yesterday. It's quite old, and all standards are in place, but people just don't know that TIs can work with all of that. And people are not ready to share.
Знаете, такого акцентного, успешного опыта, как скрестить сценарий использования.
Now, how to match the use cases with the data that these use cases would work with? No, fuck the data. Use cases. Use cases is what I'd like to focus on. Everybody knows. Everybody knows that the story when, for example, cyber intelligence have got new content, this is manual work. Of course, we want a lot of feeds and we want a lot of data, and automation just spoils all that picture, and we actually want people to do a lot of manual work. Okay, I understand when an analyst actually has got the malware address from a config and it was done manually and he checked and rechecked it several times, and it is not a false. Right?
Вторая история. Вот эти вот самые так называемые первички.
The second story is the raw data, the tracks from the attacker's infrastructure, the servers, from which they attack, not from which they scan the internet, but from which they attacked. The primary points of the stagers and so on and so forth. Or the points which they use to download the first thing they have encountered. So all this can be kind of vacuumed into the TI vendor, both proactively and passively, actually. And if you identify this group of data, and if you weaponize this group of data to defend your perimeter, this will work. Proactively found new malware resources. They can be blocked. Blocking everything else makes little sense, but this is what good manual work looks like.
В принципе, высокий там инцидент, там, да, приоритетный создать в CM, ну так и...
So you can generate a high priority incident in CM, or you can do this. And my favorite third story is which processes actually work right now. A lot of different feeds, they are about processes that don't work right now. Some of the servers really work right now, but right now as we speak. They infect something, they have victims, and those vendors who have object telemetry, object-based telemetry, they have this data. So some telemetry comes from the security products, and some telemetry comes from systems. These are two different things. The former, a lot of people have it, and only 2 companies have it on the Russian market. One vendor who has a huge presence in endpoints in Russia and across the world, I think you have guessed. And the second one is the vendor that's present not in the nodes, but between the nodes. I'm not hinting at any company, but there is such a company on the Russian market. Least said, soonest guessed.
Мы будем как бы с вами тоже, тем более у меня тут штука, оказывается, идет таймер. Я только сейчас заметил.
I actually have only noticed the timer. I didn't look at the stopwatch.
Сейчас модно, да, говорит, тейки можно какие-то.
So, what are the whatever people call it takes, or whatever, bullet points, or takeaways, and so on. Quantity is not quality in terms of the TI feeds. This is a bad story for you, because you get something that doesn't work, and for us, because we have to do a lot of dumb work in order to make you, quote-unquote, happy. Not solve your problem, but make you happy.
История примеров про ПТ, про джамп-сервера — это все те самые сценарии.
So all these stories about PT and jump servers, when people used auto blocks or high priority incidents or prioritizing other incidents and so on. So if you actually have the use case, you will understand which part of which feed actually makes sense and does useful work for you.
Контекст равно что дальше делать.
Context should mean, what do we do now? And if you don't answer this question, don't use context. Again, a lot of my colleagues say that context should generate playbooks. Probably, that's better, but I think this is generically, what do we do next?
Подумать про то, что вы молодцы, вы научились с индикаторами работать.
You as customers are already pretty good. You work with indicators. You work with a lot of noise. So let's start using TI detects, and this will enable you to work with multi-vendors. You can take products from different vendors, and you will benefit from different points of view on one the same thing. That's all. That's really all from me. I'm ready to answer your questions, if you have any.
Микрофон.
Wait for the microphone, please.
Добрый день. Спасибо
Hi,
за доклад.
and thanks for the talk.
Такой вопрос. Вот вы, как я понимаю, выбрали для себя путь стать такой лампочкой check-engine, да, которая...
So actually, your company is this check engine lamp that does not light up because the wind has blown in the wrong direction. So you really notify people of serious threats. But what motivates you doing this?
Через 3 часа они поменялись, стали неактивны.
You know the servers of attackers. They're down in 3 hours and new servers are up. So why do you think it makes sense to actually do this rather than give people 10,000 indicators per day? Well, there are two answers to this. One, we have GM plans, and we actually have to put foods on the table. And it doesn't make sense to offer the same thing as anyone else. We want to offer something unique. And the second answer, and I think that's more correct, is we don't want to deceive people. We don't want to bullshit people into doing things. Because some of them, we are all virus analytics. We have grown into team leads and so on. We want what we do to do useful things. We still have this enthusiasm for doing good to people. And I think it is really important to say. But GM plans, well, GM plans are GM plans.
Большое спасибо за доклад. На самом деле я бы еще...
Thank you for the talk. I would even add a point, because TI is not just feeds. That's a lot of other things too. And actually, what motivates people doing this, it really motivates if you know that you're really protecting people from all the shit that internet is bombarding them with. TI, they are like ants who eat all the dead things in the forest, right? Because your contract may be just on a certain perimeter, and within this perimeter you have the powers to eliminate all the dead things. How do you implement those rights or privileges? And don't you think that this is an element that actually can showcase why TI is useful to a customer? Well, I can only agree with your addition, and maybe I misunderstood your question, but I'll answer to the extent I can.
плоскости
All
законодательства
the privileges
за пределы,
that we get, they are compliant with the regulation because no one wants to end up in prison for the foreseeable future.
на самом деле какую-то,
But the value of this,
которую вот я уже проговорил, да, в ходе своего доклада, каких-то отличительных именно черт, которыми может пользоваться тот.
the value of this, some distinctive features of that value that a vendor
Вот все важное.
could use. I don't think there is anything else compared to what I said and compared to what you say. So the value is just the same.
Да. Давайте еще один вопрос примем.
Okay, we can accept another question,
Уже по времени.
and then we would need to move on.
Спасибо вам за доклад.
Thank you for the talk.
Когда все вот эти компетенции экспертов и
When all this
экспертиза
expertise
отдельных специалистов
from
в полноценный TI, в полноценные вот эти фиды,
from specific people
другие, скажем,
will
списки, которые нам помогают,
convert into
скажем так,
TI, into the feeds, and so on and so forth. When does it convert into specific attacks repulsion?
У меня сегодня прикольный эксперт
Well,
на большой аудитории.
when we talk in a pre-sell with a customer,
Или в закрытие проблем.
doing things like I'm doing now, and if we see that not just standard data can be used by the customer to cover up their needs, but other vendors may talk about the tactics, the strategic TI, the profiles of malware, and so on.
Понятная потребность.
So when we see a clear need and when we understand which need we're covering,
И заказчику это не надо.
I think this is where this conversion happens.
Помню с вами про план.
Very often,
Поэтому
GM plans are much more important if the customer cannot articulate their needs clearly.
Спасибо. Вы
Thanks, Alexei. Thank you very much. Can you choose the best question?
выбирайте в качестве лучшего вопроса первый. Вот, это был ваш вопрос.
My best question is always the first question because people need a little bit more courage, believe me, to ask the first question than others. Thank you very much.